Chancellor of Gombe State University, Professor Aliu Usman El Nafati, represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, members of the High Table, academic and non-academic staffs, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, I can say. I'm here before you to deliver a lecture on traditional approach to the management of mental health. It is a great honor and privilege for me to be among you today to participate as a speaker on traditional approach to the management of mental health, an invitation as a guest speaker in Trans Science Festival and Neuroscience Outreach on Mental Health and the menace of drug addiction. Traditional approach means the systems of healing that had been progressing in the management of mental health. As we know, any traditional system, any system of healing which is not in line with conventional or orthodox medicine is termed as a traditional system. There are many traditional systems, but our concentration will be directed to the following: the Boka or Bori system, the herbalist system, the Ruqya system, and the Arab positions of the medieval age system that is present within Muslim communities. All these classes of healers have their different approaches in managing mental health, whether from drugs abuse or mental imbalance or that which originates from evil spirits. As we can witness in our discussion, some approaches are scientifically accepted while others are not welcome even in our religious beliefs, talk less of medical system. Firstly, the Boka or Bori approach. You give me 15 minutes, but in the invitation it's 10 minutes, but it's 15 minutes in the invitation. So don't halt my paper, please. The Boka or Bori system, or I can say the Boka or Bori approach is a system of healing adopted by them with the use of spirits to bring back to normal any patient under their consultation. Sometimes they use herbs only on specific cases, but mostly they depend on spirits. Besides herbs, barks, leaves, roots, they also use animal parts such as hair, stool, bones, skins, odors from animals. The Boka or Bori system uses the combination of plants and animals parts in making charms, consulting spirits, and in doing some extraordinary activities in festivals for entertainment. The Boka or Bori system uses the combination of plants and animal parts in making charms, consulting spirits, and in doing some extraordinary activities in festivals for entertainment. The system had been using girka by beating drums, dancing, chanting incantations on patients in the process of healing. In respect to Bori, it is a festival that used to take place from time to time among the members for the purpose of strengthening their ties with spirits. This system was built on the belief that various mental disorders are directly related to evil spirits. Therefore, 2 points in the Boka and Bori system are contrary to religious belief and medical system. They believe that many cases of psychological imbalance are related to evil spirits and seeking the help of spirit in healing process. Secondly, we have the natural herbal system of healing. This system had been using herbs and sometimes animal parts in treating numerous illnesses. In this category, you may likely see educated personalities, religious leaders, respected people in our society who are part of this system. You will likely come across books written by learned persons from this category on herbs and diseases and the mode of preparing medicinal composition. A good example is a book written by Muhammadu Hambali Jinju, which is titled as Magan Gargajiya na Africa. In this book, he stated the specific herbs that had been in operation here in Africa in the treatment of mental health. In the same vein, Professor Balasiji Ami of Bayero University, a botanist by profession, wrote 2 books, Common Ethnomedicinal Plants of the Semi-Arid Regions of West Africa, and some ethnomedicinal plants of the savanna regions of West Africa. In the first book, he stated some herbs that treat mental disorders. Among them is Balanite aegyptiaca, that is Itacen Adua in Hausa. In the latter, he made mention the healing power of Diospyros senegalensis, that is Bishara Kanya in Hausa on psychopharmacological cases. The same thing applied to Jesse Kurian, an Indian herbalist. In his book, Healing Wonders of Plants, he made mention of garden lotus as having the benefits of controlling hysteria, neurasthenia, and epilepsy. Again, thanks to the government of India, under the supervision of Acharya Balkrishna, in a very heavy project that is still existing, with the intention of writing on 67,400 medicinal plants of the 7 continents of the world. A mention of Acacia nilotica leaves, that is Ganyin Gabarua in Hausa, as a general remedy for mental disorders was asserted in their World Herbal Encyclopedia book. Therefore, a collaboration is needed between our institutions and the herbalists, the local ones and the professionals, in order to pave a way to the solution of patients of drugs abuse, depression, schizophrenia, and so on. Thirdly, is the Ruqyah system that had been delivered from Muslim sources. It is a good approach in tackling cases of evil spirits, diseases, and psychiatric problems. The bedrock of the system is recitation, herbs, animal parts, and practical experience used to be applied on patients. The system had been endowed with sufficient amount of books that were written in order to give a concrete guide in theory and practical to Ruqyah doctors. Ruqyah approach in remedying medical cases have contributed a lot in providing a demarcation between the populace and the Boka and Bori system, which is regarded as scientifically baseless. Again, the Ruqyah approach recognizes a serious complications in dealing with patients. You might likely discover a spiritual condition in the course of treating, for example, depression. Also, in the treatment of diabetes, you may sometimes come across that the patient is possessed by evil spirits. Sometimes, in treating a physical condition, the patient may fail to respond to any medication. After diagnosing him carefully, you may likely discover that the patient's condition is triggered by evil spirits. For this reason, it is an obligation on any Ruqyah doctor to be a learned person in theory and practical before consulting a patient. Before closing this session, it is important to list some local and foreign medicinal herbs that are used in treating mental disorders or mental diseases. These local herbs include African violet tree, Acacia longipedunculata, that is Bishar Sanya in Hausa. Every traditionalist knows about Sanya. Borage, number 2, Borago officinalis, that is Bishar Harshen Sanya in Hausa. Wild Jujube, that is Bishar Magaria in Hausa. Silk cotton tree, Bombas Malabarikon DC, that is Bishar Gurjia. White thorn tree, Acacia sebriania, it is Sebriania, not Sebriana, that is Fararkaya in Hausa. These are at least names of a few of our local psychopharmacological herbs. To list a few of the foreign ones, we can begin with Habbatu Black Seed, that is Nigella sativa, Habbatu Sauda. Olive oil or leaves, Oli Europa, that is Zaytun. Coriander, Coriandrum sativa, that is Kusmara. German chamomile, Matricaria chamomilla, that is Babunach. Senna, Cassia angustifolia, that is Sanamaki. Thyme, Thymus vulgaris, that is Iter. Therefore, a research is needed to be conducted in our respected institutions, especially here in Gombe State University. in order to confirm the medicinal capacity of these plants. Doing this will help in controlling the problems of our communities. Firstly, if there are physicians of the medieval age system of healing that is available in Muslim communities due to the sufficiency of their books in Muslim societies and libraries. These books had been translated from their Arabic forms to Latin in the Western world during the medieval ages. This fact was confirmed by many Western writers like Gustave Le Bon. He opened doors for 500 to 600 years. General books in Arabic language, and particularly on various disciplines, had almost been the only source of learning in European universities. In his book, The Elementary Chemistry, Eric John Holmier, talking about the contributions of Jabr bin Hayyan in the developmental history of chemistry, had this to say: fortunately, in the 7th century of our era, an event occurred that caused the theoretical and practical sides to be brought together, and though the science of chemistry was set upon a firm footing, this event was the rise of Mohammedanism, or to give it its proper name, Islam. The Canon of Medicine by Avicenne and the Compendium of Medicine by Rhazes were among the hundreds of these literatures that had been translated at that time. One of the approaches adopted by these physicians in the treatment of mental health was the method founded and adopted by Razi that was later termed as psychosomatic disorder by present-day psychoanalysts. He was invited to console the king of Bukhara, who had suffered serious joint pains that crippled and debilitated him from movement. Different treatments were offered to him without success. At last, Razi discovered that he was suffering from psychological condition that needs a different approach. He ordered the king to provide 2 good horses that should be kept outside the town. He directed the king to have a warm bath, and after that he gave him medications. Then he took an excuse for a while. On coming back, he started sharpening a long knife and intimidating that he will kill him. This action angered and terrified the king and stimulated him to stand up and walk to the doctor. On seeing that, Razi walked out immediately to the horses and fled away with his friend. On reaching home, he wrote a letter to the king and told him that he just applied this method in order to treat him psychologically, but not to disrespect him as a king. This problem is now called psychosomatic disorder that is applied to illnesses caused by the interaction of mental and physical factors. Psychological treatments sometimes have a marked effect on this condition, as in this example. Another example is the case of a girl with catatonic schizophrenia, narrated by Ibn Abi Usayba in his book, The Chronology of Arab Physicians. He had stated that Khalifa Harun Rashid invited different physicians on the treatment of this girl, whose hands remained stretched up, whether on sitting or movement or otherwise. Numerous attempts have been made to treat her without success. At the end, Bakti Shah was invited to treat her. He agreed to the offer with the condition that during the consultation, the consultation should take place in the presence of a large number of people. Rashid accepted the condition. The girl was invited to the doctor in the middle of the crowd with her hands raised up. On reaching Bakti Shah, he started removing her dress to leave her naked. At the spot, she responded by descending her hands to hold up her dresses. At the end, she got treated successfully with what is called a behavioral therapy, where her spinal cord responded to the challenge without consulting the brain for imitation. This condition is now called catatonic schizophrenia by modern psychoanalysts. Then comes the case of hallucination, consulted by Awhadu Zaman. Medically, hallucination is a false perception of reality. In this case, a patient from Baghdad suffered a serious hallucination with the belief that a container filled with something is on his head, and that container could not be taken away from his head. He always feared of falling down the container. For that, he was very conscious at all times. Many physicians attended his case without response. But when Awhadu Zaman was consulted, he understood the case as being hallucination. He designed a method to be adopted He ordered one of his children on the arrival of the patient to come with a big stick and strike it at the head of the patient while saying, "Today I will break this container that is on your head." At that time, he mounted up a second boy on top of a roof unknown to the patient and told him to throw a container that is in his head when the first boy struck at his head. When the patient was brought before the doctor, the first boy struck him on the head saying, "Today your container will be broken." And the second party throws the container before the patient, which broke into pieces. At that very moment, the doctor shouted to the first boy, sympathizing with the patient, "Why do you break his container?" The patient was convinced now that his container was removed away from him. He then walked away as a normal person without hesitation. Finally, after discussing about different traditional approaches in managing mental health, we gave example of some events and cited some examples of medicinal herbs that are useful in managing mental disorders. Therefore, it is the duty of our research scientists, administrators, government executives, and policymakers to conduct a research on these medicinal plants for our present and future generation. At last, I apologize for any shortcoming. I am a herbalist, I am not a doctor. I am not a professor like that person. I thank you for listening patiently to my address. God bless you all.